The first time Emma stood on the stage, she wasn't supposed to be there. She was meant to be a punchline, not the main act. It was the school talent show, the kind of event kids usually looked forward to. But not Emma. At 14, she had long grown used to being invisible, or worse, ridiculed. Her clothes were hand-me-downs, her shoes too tight, and she often carried the faint scent of the diner where her father worked late nights to support them. The popular girls whispered and giggled whenever she passed by, calling her ragdoll or charity case. That afternoon, when the sign-up sheet for the talent show went around, Emma's name mysteriously appeared in the slot for singing. She hadn't written it, someone else had. By the time she realized what had happened, the teacher had already announced the lineup. The room had erupted with snickers. Emma wanted to disappear. She didn't sing. At least, not in front of people. Music was her secret, the thing she only dared to whisper into the quiet corners of her small bedroom late at night when her father was too exhausted to hear. But fate has a way of turning cruel jokes into miracles. Emma's father, Daniel, was a single dad who had given up nearly everything for his daughter. His hands were rough from long hours as a cook, and his shoulders sagged under the weight of bills and broken dreams. But he carried himself with quiet pride, always reminding Emma, "We may not have much, but we have each other." That's enough. When Emma came home that day, fighting back tears, Daniel noticed immediately. "What's wrong, kiddo?" he asked, setting aside the grocery bag with nothing more than bread, milk, and a small bag of apples. "They signed me up for the talent show, to sing," she muttered. "It's a joke. They want me to embarrass myself." Daniel studied her face, then leaned forward with a gentle smile. "So what? Let them think it's a joke. Prove them wrong." Emma shook her head. "I can't. I'll just make it worse." "You've got a gift, Emma," he said softly. "I've heard you. You think I don't notice when you sing in your room. Your voice, it's like it comes from a place deeper than this world. If you let them silence you before you even try, you'll regret it." Emma stared at him, torn between fear and hope. "But what if I mess up?" "Then you mess up. But at least you stood up. That's worth more than hiding." For the first time, Emma considered that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't punishment. Maybe it was a chance. The week leading up to the talent show was brutal. Whispers followed Emma in the hallways. Notes stuffed in her locker read, "Can't wait to hear the dying cat." Even some teachers looked doubtful when her name was announced in rehearsal. At night, Daniel stayed up late helping her practice. He didn't know much about music, but he knew about courage. He sat on the edge of her bed, eyes heavy with fatigue but heart wide awake, listening as she sang softly, then stronger, then finally with the fire he always knew she had. One night, Emma stopped mid-song and broke down. "What if they laugh?" she whispered. Daniel walked over, cupped her face in his calloused hands, and said, "Then let them laugh. But I'll be in that crowd, and I'll be the first to clap. And maybe you'll find that they won't laugh at all. Maybe they'll listen." The night of the talent show arrived. The gymnasium buzzed with excitement. Students, parents, and teachers packed the folding chairs. Acts came and went. A magic trick, a dance routine, a comedy skit. Then, finally, it was Emma's turn. Her heart pounded as she walked onto the stage, clutching the microphone like it might save her from drowning. She could hear giggles ripple through the crowd. Somewhere in the back, she caught sight of her dad, sitting straight-backed, his eyes locked on her with unshakable faith. Emma took a shaky breath. For a moment, the microphone squealed with feedback, and the laughter grew louder. Her cheeks burned. She nearly bolted, but then she remembered her father's words, "At least you stood up." She closed her eyes, and she began to sing. Her voice started soft, almost trembling. But as the first verse left her lips, something shifted. The gym fell quiet. No whispers, no laughter, just silence. Emma's voice soared, clear and powerful, filling every corner of the room. It wasn't just a song, it was her heart poured out, every hardship, every sleepless night, every moment of being overlooked turned into melody. By the time she reached the chorus, people were leaning forward in their seats. Teachers wiped their eyes. Students who once mocked her now sat stunned, their mouths slightly open. The girl they thought was a joke was stealing the show. When the last note hung in the air, the room erupted. Applause thundered through the gymnasium. Some even stood to their feet, cheering. Emma's chest heaved, tears streaming down her face, not from fear, but from release. She looked toward her dad. He was standing too, clapping the hardest, tears shining in his tired eyes. For that moment, the world was theirs. The aftermath was unlike anything Emma expected. Suddenly, the same students who had mocked her came up to congratulate her. Teachers praised her talent. For the first time, Emma wasn't invisible. She wasn't the poor girl. She was the girl who sang like an angel. But more than that, Emma had discovered something inside herself: courage. She realized that her voice was her strength, and no one could take that from her. Over the next few months, music became more than just a secret hobby. She joined the school choir, started singing at community events, and even got invited to perform at a local charity concert. Each time, her father sat in the front row, cheering louder than anyone else. Life wasn't suddenly easy. Bills still piled up. Daniel still worked long shifts. But there was hope now, a sense that the future might hold more than struggle. And for Emma, the stage had become a place where she could rise above her circumstances, where her voice could turn pain into beauty. One evening, after a small performance at a town event, Emma and her father walked home together under the streetlights. "Dad," she said softly, "thank you for believing in me when nobody else did." Daniel looked at her, his eyes heavy but proud. "You don't owe me thanks. You did the hard part. You stood up." Emma smiled. "Yeah, but I couldn't have done it without you." They walked in silence for a while, the cool night air wrapping around them. Then Daniel chuckled. "You know, kiddo, one day the world's gonna know your name. And when that happens, just promise me you won't forget where you came from." Emma squeezed his hand. Never. Years later, Emma would look back on that night in the school gym as the turning point of her life. Not because it made her popular, or because it led to opportunities, but because it taught her the most important lesson: that sometimes, the world tries to write your story as a joke. And sometimes, with courage and love, you get to rewrite it. The message: this story isn't just about a girl with a beautiful voice or a father who stood by her. It's about resilience, the courage to face ridicule, and the power of one person's belief. Emma found her voice not just in song, but in life, because a single dad, despite his own struggles, reminded her that she was worth more than the world's cruel laughter. And that's the truth we can all take with us: you are never just the label others put on you. You are the story you choose to tell with your life.